I can't hold a straight face for that long. I can't hold a straight face for that long. Welcome back, everybody. We'll give this a second to build up here. We got a pretty epic guest this evening. Sorry we missed you last week. Jay and I were in the North Woods with absolutely zero cell phone signal.
And it
was enjoyable. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I remember at one point I was like, where's my phone? And you're like,
Yeah.
What does it matter? You got no signal.
Time didn't mean anything.
Yeah, dude. It was nice. It was nice. We caught some fish. Jay caught a nice muskie. I got a nice smallmouth. But while we were gone, we released a YouTube video where we did a walkthrough of kayak trailers, rooftop tent setups, etc., etc. So if you guys missed that, go check out the YouTube and you will see that video. It is kind of longer, but Jay and I both went into great detail on pros, cons, what we like about everything. We actually got to put them to the test while we were up north with the weather that we faced. And I mean, my tent held up well. How about you, man?
Mine too. And that torrential downpour of 2 days in a row.
Yeah.
A questionable storm system that I thought my tent was going to just come off the trailer.
Thunder, lightning. Yeah, you name it. It was there. So it was good, man. Good trip. Good to be back. Yeah, man. Anything else going on before we jump into this?
No, I want to go back.
Yeah, me too.
Life's so much simpler in the woods.
Isn't it though?
It's
like
all you gotta do is wake up, eat fish,
eat,
gallivant,
spotted cows. I mean, can't beat that. You know,
some summer shanty.
Yeah, it was a good time. Good time. Highly recommend getting up into the North Woods if you guys have never been up that way. We were in the Hayward area. It was super nice. Really can't beat it. So without further ado, let's get our guest in here. We got the Bassquatch hunter himself, Mr. Mike McKinstry. Mike looks a little furry. Yeah.
He brought his dog in.
What's going on, guys? How you doing?
That dog's cool, man.
Yeah, he's the best.
That was my buddy while I was there.
Yeah, dude, he's amazing. He likes new people more than me. So when he sees a guest, he gets all excited.
That's similar to my dog. He just wants to see what's going on and
hey guys.
Hey guys. Yeah.
It's
he's
kind
of got that look. Yeah.
I think all dogs have that voice. I give every dog that voice too.
Well, we got Mike McKinstry in the house this evening, Mr. Bassquatch hunter himself. Mike, welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
Welcome back, I should say. I know you've done a couple segments with us, and it's good to have you back, man.
Thanks, man. It's good to be back.
How's life treating you? I know you're in Michigan. It's been a little chaotic up there and things like that, man. But you staying healthy, family's good, stuff like that.
Yeah, actually, it's been crazy up here, man. It's I think it's crazy everywhere. I'm just glad that everyone in my family and all my friends are safe and healthy right now, and you know everything's still moving along. It's just been definitely 2020 has been a whole new world, you know.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, I basically said F you to 2020. It's been such a jacked up year, man. It's kind of crazy, but what are you gonna do, man?
Yeah, just waiting for 2021, and hopefully it's a better year, man.
I know.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
It's taking forever.
I know. I'm just waiting for the aliens to show up or whatever the next wave of Jumanji is.
I love it. Well, I mean, that's an interesting topic, and we started to talk about it before we went live here, man. And with your TV show, you had a schedule, shows planned out to shoot, but obviously, like with travel restrictions and things like that, like, I mean, what has that done? I mean, how has that hurdle been for you?
It was kind of so when you go into something that's got so many moving parts and you plan ahead like you're supposed to the best you can, and you're like, okay, we're still gonna make it work, even though that was kind of loosely planned.
Mhm.
And then everything gets literally like shaken up into a basket and thrown up in the air, so you have to restart all over again. It's pretty much what happened. So we had everything planned ahead of time for the most part of like the episodes we were going to film, some of the charity segments we were going to do, some of the trips we had planned. And then as soon as the lockdown happened, just literally nothing, like not one thing we had planned could be possible anymore. So every single thing we had planned was canceled. Like there wasn't one thing that was like, okay, well that's still safe. The traveling was canceled. All the stuff we were doing with schools and summer camps and all the stuff was canceled. We were supposed to film with like a seaplane and like all these other cool things. That was all canceled. So we had to start from scratch. So this whole season we've been filming, and it's funny because I've been getting such good feedback from the show this year, and I kind of like chuckle when someone's like, dude, that episode was so great. I was like, man, we planned that the day before we filmed it, and we edited it like 2 days later, and we sent it to the network like 4 days later. And that's how this whole season's been. It's just been, my editor was so overworked, and his internship just ended, so now I'm taking on the overworking of the editing now too. But it's just we're planning, filming, and editing an episode within like 10 to 14 days now, and that's how it's been almost a whole year, which is not the way it's supposed to be. We're supposed to have everything planned a year in advance and be able to like trickle the episodes out, and it's just been, it's been nuts.
Yeah.
But I will say this though, it prepared me and my crew for hopefully what'll be a so much easier 2021 next year. And being that we couldn't plan things we want to this year, we kind of value the ability to be able to plan for next year now. So we're gonna definitely be a little bit more prepared for next year, be able to make next year a little bit bigger and better, and have a little bit more more detail into our show. We'll have more time to plan it now. So
right on, man. Well, that's cool. Well, I know a guy that was on one of your shows. It's probably your least viewed show, Mr. Jay Randall himself.
Oh yeah, man, that guy, he had a weird smell to him, and I think that's what like. Oh, hey, what's up, Jay? I didn't know you shot.
I love it.
That Pike episode that we did together. It actually has it got 397,000 viewers watched that one.
Oh wow,
yeah.
Wow!
And it was a great episode, dude.
I'm gonna be famous.
It's probably the only time I've actually went out to go target a species and we caught nothing but that species.
Yeah.
And we had a ridiculous amount. It wasn't like we targeted pike and we caught one or two. We targeted pike and that's all we caught all day, and we caught like probably 10 or 12 total. It was just like they were just everywhere where I thought they'd be. They were there. It was such a cool episode, and it made filming really easy because me and Jay have an awesome. I don't want to get all Mo with you on here, but we have an awesome chemistry whenever we hang out and talk. Like we always play off each other's sarcasm pretty well. So not having to worry about the fish catching part and being able to just have like the conversations, that was the coolest part of the episode.
Yeah, that's cool. I find it easy to jar with you.
Yeah. It's just we have that same kind of sense of humor where we like to pick at each other. So like. When we weren't worried about fishing, it was just like, oh, we need another fish. Let me just cast and we'll catch another one. Like when you have a day of fishing like that when you're filming, it makes like the interactions a lot easier. It makes like it's a lot more relaxed and more natural. So that was a great episode. I love that episode.
Yeah. Cool. I mean, when I watched it, I could definitely tell, man, you guys were just out there having a good time on the water. And I think that transpired on the camera for sure. I obviously had heard about it after Jay got back, and then actually seeing the final edit and all that good stuff, man. I think it really transpired. It was good. I think you do a really good job at that for sure.
Yeah, thank you, man. I actually edited that one myself too. That was before my editor came on board. So that one was a lot of work, but it was so much, like I said, it was so much fun. We had so many fish that day, and Jay had a really funny part on there that I was like debating and putting on the episode or not. and I was trying to find a way. I'm like, this has to go in. So I had to do some bleeping of some language, and but it was a lot of fun. That was a great episode.
Randall, potty mouth, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. he bleeped out such an innocent word. I mean,
I think it was the F word. I think it was like
fantastic.
Yeah, exactly. You're not allowed to say fantastic on my show.
That's right. No appropriate long words.
No, it was cool though. That was a really fun one, and I'm glad we had the viewership we had too. Like that was that was the second or was that the third episode or something? It was one of the earlier episodes of the season, and I was just happy that we had the viewership we had on it. I think we had that aired on Pursuit Up. Oh no, that airs on Pursuit Up in like 2 weeks, so that'll be on the streaming app in about 2 weeks too.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, it was cool. It was a rough day, man. I mean, the rain was insane, and that's the day I found out that my Onyx pants didn't work anymore.
Yeah, they were no longer waterproof.
Yeah, I was like, I'm sitting in my seat, and I'm like, am I wet? I'm like, I feel like I'm wet. It's like, I don't know. It's like, it could be cold. Maybe I'm sweating.
At our age, if we don't change our diapers quick enough, they start seeping through. So
yeah. Thank God I had fishing pants on. As soon as I took them off, I'm like, yeah, it looks like I pissed on my pants.
Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious, man. That's hilarious. Just a little bit of quick house cleaning. We got BKB, Bass Kayak and Beers, Mr. Armando in the house. Aaron Steiger said, "Sup, Mike?"
What's up, Aaron?
Brad Hicks says, "Dudes."
What's up, Brad Hicks? Dudes.
Sup, Brad?
But JD Rosier in the house saying, "What's up, fellas?"
What's up, JD?
My man JD down there in South Carolina. It's something interesting, man, that I think you do a really good job of. In the kayak fishing world, we hear so much about tournaments and bass fishing and things like that. And I know Jay and I have had, private conversations about, getting outside of the bass fishing. And I think what you try to do in all your different shows is, go after different species and show that like kayak fishing is more than the tournament world. I think a lot of people get into kayak fishing and then they just get sucked in like a vacuum. And I think you highlight that really well, man. I mean, was that like a main goal when you started doing, the YouTube videos and then the shows and all that good stuff?
So it kind of was. So if you look at my YouTube season from, the last 2 years, like before this year, the way I was trying to format my show before, like last year was the best example. The way I was trying to format my show was going out fishing in the morning, doing a second segment of kind of like an adventure or exploring the nature or whatever location we were in. And then going from that to doing like a charity pay it forward segment. And then what I really wanted to do was every place I was going to, that was like, okay, there's great scenery and nature stuff, or like, the NASCAR episode, I was able to like, race a NASCAR driver and stuff. So like, I wanted to be able to highlight the best species to fish for in that area, not being bass. Like I was like, I don't want to just chase bass everywhere I go because some areas have better salmon or better trout. So going into this year, the plan of my show was, which I'm, like I said, everything got canceled. So I've been trying to stick to it as hard as I could, but it'll be next year. It'll be 100% this way. But I want to try to do a different species either for the first or second segment and fish out of different vessels, not just kayaks, but also do pontoon boats and bass boats and dock fishing and fishing out of an airplane or a hot air balloon and like just different, belly floats, like just different things, like just to make it different, to let people know that, kayaks are a great vessel and a great vehicle to get you in places that other vessels can't go. And then there's other vessels to get you in places that kayaks can't go, or there's other ways to fish. Like, and not only is there other ways to fish, but there's other fish to catch. So I've been doing a lot of panfish episodes lately because I did one with my nephews that just aired on TV, I think 2 weeks ago. And that's probably my favorite episode I've done so far because we dock fished. And
that's fun.
It's like, it brought me back to when I was a kid. I was like, how long it's been since I've sat on a dock with worms and just pulled in bluegill after every time you dip in the water, and watching my nephews light up and teaching them how to hold the fish. And I was like, man, this is what people got to remember, that this is how we all got started. I mean, most of us got started. And I like showing that. And then with me and Robert Field was in town last week. We just filmed panfish catch and cook, which is the first time I've ever done that. And that was the same thing where we got to do a different species. We got to do it a different way. We got to keep the fish, which I never do. So I like trying to I like trying to show different angles and different facets of the sport. I look at like the sport of fishing or just being outdoors in general as like a big diamond or a big gem, and it has hundreds of facets, and the light hits them all differently, and everyone sees them differently and sees different sides. And I want to try to show as many of those as I can in my show. And fishing for different species is just part of it. It's just like the tip of it. Showing that you can fish for pike, panfish, salmon, everything like that. That's all just because someone's going to see it and go, hey, I don't like bass, but I like salmon. That was cool.
Yeah.
It's going to, I want to inspire everybody as much as I can. So being able to relate to everybody else is important and remind people that there's more out there than just bass. Because like you said, you get sucked into the bass part of it and you kind of forget that maybe you started pan fishing when you were a kid or you started walleye fishing with your dad or, I like to be able to do all those things just to inspire as many people as I can.
That's awesome, man. We got a recommendation for you from Keith Glass. Jet ski fishing creeks.
So I was supposed to do a jet ski episode with Sea-Doo this year and with the new fishing ski model they have.
Oh, yeah.
I was supposed to do 2 episodes with it and they canceled it because all the dealers closed out here. And then when they reopened, everyone took their COVID money and bought every toy in the world. Yeah, so I called all 3 dealers I was supposed to work with and there's like, dude, everything's sold and pre-sold. Like we're not going to have any until next year. So my rep I was dealing with CD was like, sorry, man, like your state has 0. We can't get you one. So I was going to do one. And I'm actually really excited to do that segment because I've never fished off a jet ski. And the new fish and ski version, it's a lot longer. It's got a built-in cooler with rod holders. It's got a Garmin fish finder built in the dash. Like the thing is like it's pretty legit. I was gonna take it on St. Clair and go out with some muskie and stuff even on it. I mean, the thing is huge.
Yeah.
So I will be doing a jet ski. If not this year, then I'll be doing it next year for sure.
That's awesome. I love that, dude. I've seen those things and I've had a few conversations about them, man. They're different. You know what I mean?
But kayaks were different at one point too. And people, when kayaks first became a fishing vessel, people looked at it like it was an alien. And now it's so much more acceptable. I think jet skis are just another way to get in places that kayaks can't. I mean, when you're on Lake St. Clair, if you want to cover 4 miles and you don't want to do it in a kayak, you can take a jet ski and just go fly around. And it's kind of cool. And you can go in water almost shallower than a kayak because you don't have a prop or a pedal drive. You have a jet motor. So I mean, there's some benefits. It's kind of like a hybrid between a bass boat and a kayak to me when you look at the jet skis.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree with that, man. Well, if you ever want to do a northern pike catch and cook, I got a spot for you. Let me know.
We were going to do a pike catch and cook too, and it's funny because, especially because Jay's right here, but we went out to target pike on the same lake that me and you went on, and we skunked on pike, and so we switched gears and said, okay, we're not going to do pike and panfish. We're just going to do panfish because the pike just weren't. We lost 2 pike. I landed 1, and it wasn't big enough to keep, and that was it. So we're like, yeah, we'll just do panfish.
Yeah. I think Jay just shed a tear because he loves pike so much.
I've never eaten pike before, and actually, people were shocked when I said this. I've never had bluegill either. I've never had bluegill or sunfish until this episode. And it was so delicious. It was so good. But it took so much work. Like we thought we were going to have, we had a full stringer and we're like, oh, this be so much food. And then when we cooked it all up, we're just like, bite. And we're like, oh, wait, that's it. It's gone.
Yeah. Yeah. We did, Jay and I did a little YouTube video. I don't know. That was 2 winters ago, right? We were ice fishing, caught a pike. Well, Jay caught a pike on a hot dog, on a tip up, and then we kept it and we made fish tacos out of it, and it was just absolutely amazing.
It was great, and I'll tell you this too. So we just was it? I don't know, maybe a month ago or so. We ended up hooking up with 2. I don't know. We've been trying to help his lake, kind of get rid of the 25 to 30s because there's so many of them. So I ended up with I had to have 5 pounds of fish at least.
Yeah, at least.
I brought them back home, and so my 18-year-old, he doesn't even like to fish. He's never been into it. He's one of those electronic kids. He had pike, and he was like, "This is the greatest thing I've ever had." He's like, "Can we have more?" And I had more, and we had it a week later. And he's like, "I want to start going with you." I was like, "Well, you got to start going fishing then, dude, so we can go get." Catch some fish to eat. And he's like, I'll start going. He's like, can we go on Lake Michigan? He's like, he wants to do a charter. All of a sudden, he's all into it. He's like, I want to eat more fish. Even when I came back from this past weekend, he's like, I was telling him we caught some fish. He's like, did you keep any? I'm like, no, we didn't. I mean, we could have, I guess, but we would have been ridiculed for the stuff we caught.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because we talked about it too when I got that muskie, and I was like, man, we would be hung
Dude,
for
in the
eating one of
state of
these.
Wisconsin, they would have hung you, beat you, like thrown rocks. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's like the state fish, bro.
But we were like in muskie land. There was so many
Yeah.
muskies, and
Yeah.
you know, and like even the bass I caught was huge, and we were thinking about that. I'm like, I felt so bad. I'm like, I can't eat this thing. I had to let this thing go.
Yeah.
You know, but
Dude, this year when I go ice fishing, I'm bringing a portable grill with me when I go ice fishing this year.
Nice.
And
Yeah,
I'm gonna do a catch and cook like that, like literally catch it, fillet it, and cook it while I'm fishing.
That's awesome.
my buddy Sora does that kind of stuff. I mean, he grills all kinds of meats, but he brings a grill when he goes ice fishing because that's his thing. You know, but he does.
I'm super pumped about it. I've never done it, but now that I've tried it once, I used my air fryer and it was incredible. But I think this year I'm going to bring one of those little portable Blackstone griddles.
Yep.
And I'll bring a fillet table out and I'll just set up like a little station right there and I'll pull a fish out, fillet it right there, have it out, put it on the grill, keep on fishing.
You know, and that's the one thing I started doing more this year too, is just eating more fish.
Yeah.
You know, we catch so much of it. It's like, you know, why not?
Yeah. And it's funny because I've always been, I don't want to say against it. I love eating fish and pretty much most animals. I mean, I love venison. I love elk. I love gator now after I went to Louisiana and tried it.
Gator's good.
Gator's so good. But I've always had a weird thing with killing animals. Like I just don't like doing it. Like I've never wanted to kill a fish. I always catch and release everything. And I don't really hunt anymore. I duck hunt once a year and I feel really bad when I shoot a duck even, but they're so delicious that it's, I do it once. But now that I've had panfish, I'm just like, man, I'm kind of rethinking my whole approach to it. 'Cause I'm like, those are delicious fish.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, especially through the ice, man. It just like firms up that meat a little bit. It's not like super mushy like it is in the summertime, dude. Like you get in a slew of like 9-inch bluegills, 10-inch bluegills. Whew, man, that's a feast right there. Man.
And you got your cooler built into your floor pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, you just throw them on the ice and, it's incredible.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah.
Yeah. Good eats.
So what's coming up next, man? Do you got anything planned for the next episode? I know you said you're kind of flying by the seat of your pants, but
yeah, I got 2 to edit right now. One of them is a segment with my intern, who's no longer my intern, but was my intern for like a year and a half. JTI, Justin the intern. He's a super cool kid. Dude's like family to me now. We did a segment together because I thought about it. I was like, dude, you've been on the other side of every episode we've done. Yeah. You've never been on this side of it. I'm like, come out. You're not doing anything. You're just going to fish with me. So I got that segment with him that I'm editing right now. And then the Robert Field stuff that we went out filming all last week, I'm editing right now too. Those will be the next 2 new episodes that'll air. I think I have to look at my calendar over there. I think Idaho Sturgeon is airing next week. I think Idaho Sturgeon is airing next week. And then Utah Moab bass fishing aired last week. Nice. Those were some footage that I didn't air from last year. I aired some of the footage, but I used a lot of the footage I never used, and I just re-edited it and remade the video for them. We've had to do that a lot this year with making up episodes that we couldn't, we had to cancel so many. We had, I think, 15 episodes planned that were all canceled. And then we were literally just trying to make them up as we went. And with the shutdown, we had 3 months where we couldn't film at all because my producer's office wasn't deemed essential, so it wasn't allowed to be open. So all of our cameras were locked up. All the camera guys couldn't work. I couldn't get permits for anything. Like everything was just done. So, the first 3 months of the year when we were supposed to be filming everything, we were just kind of sitting here going through old footage, trying to see what we could reuse or, find new stuff that no one's seen yet. And, things that we didn't use from last year. Like luckily that Pike episode we filmed in the fall. Mm-hmm. So I got lucky with that. So we could use that. But yeah, it's been tough. So coming up, I have, I think 3 more episodes to film for this season. And I do have one coming up that I haven't talked about yet that I will, if you guys want to hear it, I would love to tell you guys about it. It's actually going to be probably the most meaningful episode I'll probably ever film. And this is like, it sounds weird, but like, it's not with any celebrity or anything like that. But I'm doing my first episode ever with my dad. And
that's awesome.
Cool.
That's
and
awesome.
It's just like I got some footage started already, and it's going to be a tough one for me to edit because I've never fished with my dad before. Like we've never had that. Like we've never fished together. I just, I didn't get into it because of my dad. We never had that bond. Then he had a really bad health scare recently where he ended up in the hospital with blood clots in his lungs, and it was super serious. And when he got out, it was and I wasn't allowed to visit him because of COVID stuff, so I wasn't even allowed to go visit him. And then, it kind of hit me, and I was like, you know what? I've never been fishing with my dad, and that's not okay. Like, I need to fix this. Like, this needs to happen. So we had a conversation. We got home, and he agreed to it, and I was like, all right, so I'm getting ready to finish filming. We started filming it already, and then the weather's been too hot out, so we had to wait. So it's easier for him to breathe outside. But that's gonna be the biggest episode of my career, guaranteed. No matter who. I mean, I could film with Leonardo DiCaprio tomorrow, and it still wouldn't top it. But we're gonna film. I'm gonna have all 3 segments of my show with my dad too, which I usually don't do with a guest. I usually have 3 separate segments, but we're gonna do a bunch of Detroit history. He's a business owner in Detroit. My family's owned businesses in Detroit since like the 50s, I think, 50s or 60s. So we're going to do a little history of Detroit and, his historic building that he's in. And then kind of the history leading up to it. And then me and him are fishing together on a pontoon boat, which I've never done an episode on a pontoon boat. And then we're going to go do a really cool charity segment together too in Detroit. So
that's cool.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of, I'm super excited. Like, it's going to be, like, no matter what, like, even if this wasn't for my show, just the experience I'm going to have with it would be the most meaningful thing I've done in my career for sure. Like, it's going to be a great thing to have. And, I mainly want to do it because I want to have that video just to hold on to, and just to, I just want to be able to have that memory, because like everyone has memories of fishing with their dad, for the most part.
Yeah.
So I just always wanted to have that. So that's what's coming up next. I'm super pumped about that. And then the other 2 episodes we have planned, they're still being worked on. That's how like loose we're running it now. Is the 2 after that are still, I mean, the 3rd one is our season finale. So we're trying to, like, what we had planned for the season finale, we're not going to be able to do it next season now. And it was lake hopping in a seaplane and going from lake to lake and fishing out of a seaplane. And we were so pumped to do that. And even the guys with the planes were so excited to do it too. Like, they were like so pumped, and they're big plane enthusiasts. So they're like, yeah, we're going to share our love with these planes with everybody. I'm like, dude, it's going to be it's going to be amazing.
Heck
like,
yeah.
Like Jay saw when he was out here, like, there's lakes, like, you can't be any further than 5 minutes from a body of water anywhere in Michigan. So in my area, there's 4 lakes in my neighborhood. So being able to go up in a plane, like, just 200 feet and then landing again, and then fishing, and then going up like 200 or 300 feet and then landing again. It was going to be so much fun, but we're going to do that for next season now. But that was going to be the finale. So now we're still kind of like, we have like a bunch of ideas, and my producer's kind of looking into some stuff. And, but yeah, the only thing I really have planned is that one with my dad. And, we've been working on that one pretty hard.
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, I've thought about doing the dad podcast before.
Oh, that'd be cool.
My old man is the guy that got me into fishing, like you talked about, man. So I've had that, and I thought it'd be interesting. He's probably my biggest fan, biggest supporter, other than my wife and kids, and
that's awesome.
It's cool. The stories that could be told.
Yeah, his dad's funny.
But dude, that's awesome. I love that you're gonna highlight Detroit and the family history there and stuff like that, dude. That's a very cool concept. I'm looking forward to
well,
that.
it's kind of like what I wanted my show to be about since the beginning too. And I'm finally getting the freedom to do what I wanted to do this whole time with a lot of the charity segments. And I mean, I'll be honest with you, if I could have a show that was just pay it forward stuff, I wouldn't even fish anymore. I mean, that's what that's my passion. And everybody usually has their job to fund their passion. That's how most people fish, is fishing's their hobby or the passion. They have their day job to be able to fund the fishing part. I quit my day job so I could do my passion for a living. So now my passion and my hobby is to fund what I'm really passionate about, which is the pay it forward charity stuff. So I'm just glad that I now have the freedom to be able to do like the adventure stuff. I get to hang out with NASCAR drivers and go-kart race them. I get to zip line over gator swamps in Louisiana while I'm down there. Like the fishing part is just like this much of it, the adventure and trying to inspire other people just to be better people to everybody else is kind of where that's where my heart really is. So I'm just glad that I get to do I get to pick and choose what I do now, and I get the freedom to be able to do it all,
Yeah. That's cool, man. I mean, I've seen a ton of your pay it forward stuff, your charity things that you do, man. And it's pretty incredible, man. It's inspiring. You know, I've seen some of it and I'm like, man, we should do something like that, you know?
And that's why I do it. Is I don't film. I only film probably 10% of the stuff I do. And I get a lot of ridicule. Like you'll be shocked with the hate mail I get when I post stuff. And they're like, oh, if you really meant it, you wouldn't have to post it. And you know, all this stuff like that. And it's like, you know what? Like I share it because it inspires people to do the same thing. Like the last one that me and Robert just did, when Robert Field was in town, I had him come do one with me. And he said the same thing. When we first went out to do it, I was like, hey, dude, I'm curious. Like, you know, what's your thought of this whole thing? He goes, you know, let's, you know, go out and do your, like, this is your thing. Like, you know, just go out and do your thing, you know? And I'm like, all right, like, let me show you what I do. So I went out and we picked the simplest thing we could do because we wanted to make sure we were being socially distanced. And we were going to, like, we had all these other things planned. And I was like, you know what, let's do like the one that I do the most. I've never filmed it before, but the one I do the most is going through drive-thrus and paying for people behind us, just doing circles and just paying for everybody behind us every time we do a circle. And just do it for like an hour. We'll set like $100, $200 limit and then just keep on going. And he's like, all right, whatever, no big deal. Like he was excited to help people, but he didn't really know what was going to happen. Right. And it ended up being like, out of all the times I've done this, the one time we filmed it was probably the best time I've done, because we ended up having, and the video's on YouTube, on my YouTube channel right now. And I put it on my Facebook page today too. So it's not a secret. And it's going to be in the episode with me and Robert too, a shorter version of it. But there was, I don't want to give it all away because I want you guys to go to my YouTube channel and watch it. But there was something that happened in the middle of that segment that literally turned everything around, where Robert even looked at me on camera and he goes, dude, you inspired me. Like, I am doing this every time I go somewhere from now on. I am doing this. Like, this is amazing. Like, I got choked up at one part of it because I just couldn't believe like something really cool happened. And that's the reason why I share it. That's the reason why I post it. That's the reason why I promote it. Is because of something that happened in that episode. That's exactly why, you know, and the guys at the drive-thru were, I mean, all the workers at the drive-thru all came into the window to tell me about something that happened. Like, dude, you won't believe what you're doing is so amazing. Like, guess what just happened? So it was a super cool thing. And that's why we do it. I mean, there's stuff we do that I don't film and I wish I could share with people just because I want to inspire people to do more. But it's, like I said, the hate mail I get from it is just like, all right, I won't share this one because this one's, I don't want to shed negative light on this one. Like I hide fishing rods on Easter instead of eggs and playgrounds so kids can find them. I leave notes saying I'll teach your kids how to fish if you don't fish, stuff like that. I don't ever want to film that one because I don't want that to get any negative light, because that one's really important to me too. Sure. You know, donating stuff to summer camps. I will never film that one because that's another one I don't want to bring negativity to. But stuff like that anybody could do, like next time you go to McDonald's, you could pay for the guy behind you just for fun. That one, I'm glad we got to share that one because it's something that anybody can do, and it costs $5, maybe $10. You know, it's right. It's like nothing.
Yeah, I did something like that just I don't know, probably 2 months ago. Especially with all this, you know, I'm just gonna go ahead and say with all the bullshit that's going on right now, you know, all the negativity that's out there.
See, this is why Mike had to bleep out your talk during his
you know
episode.
What? We're live. It's happening. But I mean, I don't know. I just get sick of all the hate that's going around, and it's like, you know, it's like, I don't know. I felt compelled just to do something, you know, just to not even to make me feel better, just to be like, hey, just let somebody know, like, you know, we're all still human, man. Like, you know, there's no lines drawn as much as everyone wants to think. And it's like, here, this is for you. You don't have to do anything back. And all I told the guy was, hey, just let him know this. I kind of like what you said, just pay it forward. I said, I told him, just like, do it for someone else. And that's all I did. You know, it's like, I didn't record it or nothing. It was just something I felt compelled to do at the moment. I was picking up some ice cream for me and the kids, you know, so there it was done. I didn't stick around for a smile or nothing. I just cruised, you know, but it was just, you know, I just think people need to know that there's.
So I give these cards out when I do stuff like that. And the card just says, pay it forward. This is a small reminder that there's still good people out here. Do something positive for someone else and make them remember too. And I hand these out when I do stuff like that, just so people see it and they're like, oh, okay. And then they do something. I hope that they are inspired to do something. And if they do something, then someone else will do something. It just spider webs out, and eventually the world will be a better place, or at least my area maybe, or the area I'm doing stuff in. I don't know. Like, it's my hope. But I mean, that's all you got to do, man. Is just do little stuff like that. And like a simple wave to somebody can change their entire day. A simple smile, you know, like driving down the road and just waving to somebody, or, you know, like, I don't know how many times I suffer from severe depression and anxiety, and I talk about this pretty often, so I'm not really, I'm pretty open about it. I don't know how many times I've been driving and just been like in my own head, like in a bad neighborhood in my head. And then someone pulls up next to me at a light and they see my truck and then they like start beeping their horn and waving and give me a thumbs up. And, then I get a message on Facebook 5 minutes later saying, hey, I just saw you driving. It's like my whole day gets turned around. Like just something so simple like that. And that's kind of why I started doing this stuff more often is I got in a really bad negative spot a couple years ago, like really bad, like the darkest place I've ever been. And it wasn't therapy or my friends or family that got me out of it. It was literally the dumbest, smallest thing to some people. But I got a message on Facebook from a stranger telling me that what I did inspired them. And like, it was a super long message. And it was almost like they knew I needed it. And awesome. It pulled me out of this dark hole that I never saw any light getting out of it. And after I got out of that, I said, all right, I survived that. How many people go through that every day and don't survive it? Or how many people go through like everyone's got to struggle every day. Like everyone's got their own battles in their own head. So I'm like, you know what? I need to do like almost everything I can, I guess, to try to make sure that I do the most positive thing for people I can. And I just find new ways all the time. And like I said, just waving to people or telling people when like Jay, like we talked earlier, like when you come to my house, I'm like, dude, do you need any fishing baits? Like take whatever you want. Like, I have a lot of extra stuff. Like take whatever you need. Like it might make your day better. It might change something. You might catch a fish on one of the baits that I gave you and you're like, holy crap, this is awesome. I got my whole new love for fishing reignited or something. Like, I don't know. Like I always have this hope that it helps in some positive way, everything I do.
That's awesome, man. I love it. So next time y'all are going to get coffee or a cheeseburger or something, pay for the person behind you, man.
It takes 30 seconds to do, man. And it literally, like, if you think about how many times we've wasted $2 or $3, I mean, we're all hopefully everyone who's listening to is comfortable enough where a $2 coffee isn't going to hurt them too bad. But there's been times where I have $5 to my name and I'll give away 6 somehow, sometimes it's money is not really that important. Possessions aren't really that important. I mean, they come and go your whole life. Yeah. The only thing that you never get back is your time and how you spend it. So I always try to tell everybody just doing something so simple like that. I mean, carrying someone's groceries to the car, or if you see an elderly person loading their groceries, do it for them. I mean, there's so many things you can do for free that can change somebody's entire life or their day even, or just their moment even. And if it costs you nothing, why not at least do that? And if it does cost you $5 or less, pay for someone's coffee, pay for their fast food. Like I challenge everybody that listens to this podcast, next time you go to a fast food restaurant, just pay for the person behind you in the drive-thru. Sometimes, like we had one guy, it was $35. I mean, sometimes it does add up, but you can be smart about it, I guess, and look for someone that's in the car by themselves and just hope it's $5. But I challenge everybody to listen to this podcast. Next time you go through a drive-thru, just tell the person when you're paying for your bill, like, hey, can I pay for the guy behind me? And they're never going to say no. And then pay for him and just give him a wave on the way out the door. Yeah, because you never know that. Like, again, my hope is that when I do stuff like that the person behind me is going to be having to make a decision that day, whether they're going to eat or feed their kids or feed their dog, or if they're going to eat or pay rent. And in the times we're in today right now, I mean, everything is so tight with money and all the fast food prices went up because the cost of food went up like crazy because of all this. So, you could be making a bigger difference than you think. And, giving someone a $5 meal could literally, you'll see in my YouTube video that I just put up about it too. Like it can make a big difference in someone's life. Like it sounds dumb, but like I said, everyone's got their own battle, and maybe someone's battle that day was getting food. Maybe that's the struggle they had, was making a choice of, do I put gas in my car or get a $5 Happy Meal? Like, you know what I mean? So everyone should definitely do that at least once. I mean, it's addicting though. It really is.
It's huge, man. I know I've been on the receiving and the giving end of that, it's cool to see decent people doing things like that still, man. And it's, I remember one time I was going to get a cup of coffee, man. And, I pulled up to the window and, obviously I wasn't in a position where I, was broke or anything like that, but was having a pretty crappy day, man. And then the lady's like, the person in front of you bought your coffee. And I was like, wait, what? Like, so I ended up paying for the person behind me, and just, paying it forward and whatnot. But man, it gives you some hope, especially with everything going on in the world today, man. Which is, it's cool to see it. It's cool to see it. And I commend you, man. you do quite a bit. I remember around Christmas you did some stuff, and
25 days of Fishmas. Yeah, we did
Yeah.
25 days in a row of giving. Yep.
Yeah, that was awesome as well, man. So
Yeah, he was featured on the news too for tipping people and stuff.
Yeah.
So we've had 3 segments air on ABC News, and the one that we just did, the drive-through, I got a producer email me from ABC today that's going to air on ABC too.
That's cool.
It's cool because, like I said, it's just so simple, and like I don't think I'm like that great of a person. I just think I think I'm the way that everybody should be. You know, I don't think like I'm not better than anybody else. Obviously, like I'm not doing better than anybody else does. There's people out there that do way more charity stuff than I do, and it's definitely not about that. Like there's a saying, I think it's actually a biblical saying, but every sinner can. What was it? Every sinner has a past, or no, every sinner has a future, and every saint has a past.
Yeah.
So I always kind of remember that, where it's like when people will say things like, "Oh my God, you're such an amazing person." I'm like, I could be not that I am a bad person, but I could be a bad person that's trying to be good, or you could be a good person that was bad in the past. So I don't feel like that doing things that are good for people makes you a great person. It just that's the way people should be. You're just being a human. You're just recognizing the fact that your struggles are the same struggles everybody else has. And sometimes the stupidest little thing, like a small pebble, still makes a ripple in a big lake, Yeah. Sometimes the smallest thing can just really change someone's life. And I know it worked for me. Like I said, a Facebook message that I printed out and have framed in my bedroom, actually. I have it framed right by my door, so I see it every morning when I wake up. And it was a message someone sent me that they probably don't even know that meant that much to me even. But I was in probably the darkest point of my life when I got that message. And if sending a simple message to somebody could literally save my life, I'm pretty sure that paying for someone's coffee or their food for the day isn't going to be that big. It's like if that makes an impact on somebody's life, then that's worth it.
That's huge, man. Well, I mean, Brad Hicks in the comments said it's contagious.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think that's a big thing, man, especially in the times we're in now. It's just spreading the love. Spreading the love.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if the one thing that brings all of us together is doing good, I mean, how much worse can 2020 get if that's what we all unite over?
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
So back to fishing. Oh, I want to show you guys something.
Yeah.
Hold on. I'm going to take you on a journey. Hold on.
All right.
I got some new baits in the mail. So
that place better be clean.
So you know how I did I told you that I did this episode with my nephews where we did pan fishing, right?
Yeah.
So I took the first bluegill that my nephew caught and the first sunfish that my other nephew caught, and I took pictures of them and I sent them to this bait company called Jekyll Bait Company. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. Jen Cravasi is her name. She does like artwork on these baits. Like they're still in the packaging because I don't want to throw them yet. So I sent her pictures of each one of those fish that my nephews caught, and I wanted bull shad replicas of those. That's two.
Cool.
So she did these patterns. Like look at I don't know if you guys can see them on the camera that well when they're packaged still, but she did
pretty good.
She did one of each. So I did the sunfish that he caught and the bluegill that he caught. And this is the lake I fished the most, so I wanted replicas of the 2 fish we caught. But these things are super, super cool. I'm really, really excited to throw these too. I've been nervous to throw them because they're actually pretty, for being a custom hand painted, Mike Buka bull shad. They were pretty affordable. I think they were like $30 a piece or something like that. Like total out the door. But I mean, the detail on this thing is just crazy. Incredible. So I'm kind of afraid to lose these to Pike right now, but I still want to throw them. And Jay's like, well, there's a rule in fishing, and anybody who's fished more than once knows this. If a bait costs more than $5, a pike can smell it. Like a pike knows. If you throw like a Walmart special $1 bait, you probably won't be able to catch a pike on it. You throw a $30 bait or a $20 bait, even like jackhammers are like pike candy. And pike are like, oh, that one's expensive, and they grab it, So I'm nervous to throw these, but man, I haven't put these in the water yet. I'm so excited about these baits.
That's cool, man. I did that, man.
I would just keep those. I wouldn't throw them.
Dude, I know, but like they look so good. I might just throw a steel leader on them and or throw like 100-pound mono leader just so I know I don't lose them, because I just know those are going to be bass magnets, man. I just know, and they're replicas of the fish that the bass feed on in the lake that I fish the most. You know, so it's the lake that we filmed our pike episode on. So I know the pike are prevalent there. So
yeah, that just reminds me of, like, you know, even like with the muskie guys, they, you know, they buy these or spend like, you know, 70, 100, 125 bucks, probably more, on these works of art, and then they toss them in the water to get chewed on by these heathens with teeth.
yeah.
You know, and it's like, and I've seen, I mean, I know we've all seen just amazing, like, I've seen totem poles, I've seen like Day of the Dead stuff,
And they're sweet, you know, too.
Yeah, it's like stuff you would just hang and be like, that's really cool.
Yeah.
You know, but now they're all gnawed on. And
my favorite story of my first expensive bait, this is like 4 years ago. I was just getting into this a lot more, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna buy a Lucky Craft crankbait, because at Bass Pro those are always like the holy grail, like the most. They're like $25.
Sure.
And I never bought anything above like Strike King, like $13 was like my limit. And I bought one and it had a prop on the front and back of it. It was like a I forgot what they called the Lucky Craft one, but it was just like it's like a rattle trap with a propeller on the front and back. So I go to this place down in Ohio, getting ready to film a YouTube video, and everyone's done this. I'm definitely not the only person that makes mistakes, but I make a lot of them with as much as I fish. So I'm not above making really, really amateur rookie mistakes. So I'm sure people have done this. I went to cast, and I'm using all spinning gear back then too. I went to cast this bait, and I was down in Ohio filming, and in a new place, the wind was blowing like crazy, and I didn't let go of the line in the right moment at all. Like, I let go of it super late for some reason, so it just hung on a little too long. That bait went about maybe 20 feet up in a tree. And it was first cast. That bait never hit the water. I spent the next half hour trying to find every angle to pull that thing out. And I was just like, man, there's no way I'm going to lose. Like, I never even hit the water with it. And sure enough, that bait stayed there. It's probably still there today. And I was just like, and I hate leaving baits in trees because of birds and everything. Like, I hate leaving baits in trees. There was no way to climb the tree. There was just no way. And I was like, I'll never spend more than $20 on a bait ever again. Like, I'll never do it again. And then here I am with a wall of jackhammers, and now it's now it's all, gloves are off now. But that was the first time I ever bought an expensive bait, and it probably took me a good year or two before I ever spent more than $10 on a bait ever again because of that. I was like, you know what? I'll never forget that day, or that Lucky Craft just went straight up into a tree.
Yeah, it's like, if there's pike in the waters, man, I'm like, I don't think I'll tie on a.
You get those jitters,
today.
Yeah.
You get that. I think I'll stick with an original.
You're like, I hope I get a pike, but I hope I don't. Like,
yeah.
What about you, Jay? I know you pike fish a lot. What's the most expensive bait you've lost? Would that be a jackhammer?
I pretty much use leaders all the time. I just don't mess around because, with the exception, I mean, I know it wasn't a pike, but the exception of this weekend, I threw on a Spro, and those are kind of pricey. And I was like, you know what? Let's just see what happens, and sure. And I got lucky enough where he just bit the back end. But I also knew, man, I might lose this thing because we lost a lot of shit. There we go again. Sorry.
2 curse words. Put it in the jar, buddy. Put it in the jar.
I know. It's like time to take a shot.
Oh.
But no, I mean, we lost some stuff because I was just like, it gets annoying. I could say that, but I don't know. I've been pretty lucky with not losing anything too expensive, but there have been a couple moments where you're just like, oh, that's great. I'm not getting that back,
Well, anybody who's listening to this podcast, even if it's after this is live, write in the comments what you've lost in the lake, whether it was to pike, and write what you lost it to a tree, to pike, to bass. I want to read this afterwards and see what everybody's lost. Because I've lost, when I river fish, I lose probably 15 baits because I finesse fish a lot. Yeah. I'm not a river fisherman, so when I fish rivers, I lose everything on trees and snag everything. Like, if there's only one tree in the whole entire river, I find it like 17 times. So I lose a lot when I do that. But I'll be honest with you, I never lose baits more than I do when I throw jackhammers. I lose 1 jackhammer a week. Like, I just lose in the pike nonstop. And even if I'm using a leader, I've lost on pike. I had a pike roll me up past the leader and take my line.
Yeah, that'll happen. Lost Jay.
Jay's loading.
Yeah.
We're starting to talk about losing baits to pike, and he's like, his technology is freaking out.
I'll bring him back in when he clears back up. But Aaron Steiger said, "I hate it when the pike slice your topwater frogs." I'm assuming he's referring to hollow bodies. But
that happens a lot.
I've had it too, where it's like you'll lose a bait, toss back, or lose a bait to a pike, retie, toss back out, and then that very next cast bit off by a pike again, and you're like, all right, I'm done. Yep. I'm just going home.
I've had days where I've literally broken off 3 or 4 times in a row to pike, and I quit fishing for the day. I was like, I'm just not gonna. Because then if I do catch a pike and I actually land him and he doesn't have any of my jewelry in his mouth, I'm gonna be so mad that I'm gonna want to just like throw that thing like a football anyway. So I usually, if I lose like 3 or 4 in a row without catching a pike, I'm usually just like, I need to take today's not my day. Like I need to take a break.
Right. Oh, that's great, man.
Yeah. Because I've done that where like I've only 1 or 2 times, and I fish a lot, and it's probably only 1 or 2 times where I've caught a pike with my bait in his mouth, and like after I lost a bait to him, like I'll catch the pike like a little bit later, and he'll have I'm like, oh, that's the same pike that took my bait. There's my frog. Like it's only happened once or twice in 4 years. So if it happens, if I start losing like 3 or 4 in a row, I'm like, I'm just done. Because I will catch a pike finally, and it won't have any of my baits, and I'll scream at it like it can hear me, and I'll be like, "You mother!" and you tell your friend to get back up here, and then I'll spend like a good half hour just going around looking for my baits floating up, and like I know my day's ruined, so I just quit fishing.
Just take a quarter stick and tie a treble hook to it.
Yeah.
You catch one, just throw a firecracker and be like, "See ya,
bye."
Yeah, go tell your buddy.
Oh, gotta love it, man. Gotta love it. It.
I want to read the comments after this, too. I want to see if anybody else has caught a fish with their bait in his mouth. Like if you lose your bait to a fish, then catch. I've had it happen before where I was down in North Carolina, and the president of Feel Free, I was out fishing on his lake, and he, I'm trying to remember it correctly. I think what happened was he snapped off a Ned rig and then casted a new one back out and then caught the bass with the Ned rig in his mouth. And that's the first time I've ever seen that happen where it's like back to back like that. I think that was what is either that or he caught someone else's Ned rig that just broke off, but because it was a couple years ago. But I remember when that happened too, I was like, that never happens to me. Like I never get that lucky. I never get my bait back. It's always a different one.
Yeah.
Like I could snap off on the same exact spot to like 3 different pike, and then I'll catch one and land them and nothing in his mouth. It's like, all right, like how many pike are sitting right there? Like how, like really, come on.
Right. Are these things schooled up like bass or what?
And I never see a school of pike. Like, have you ever seen a school of pike, Jay?
No, I just they usually I always like for everything I've read and everything I've seen, they kind of just patrol the same area. Like like calling them water wolves. Yeah. They just kind of like patrol like their territory and they stay in that territory, until they go hunting, I guess later. They may, go a little, but I've never seen, one, or I mean, like, more than one together.
I haven't either, but when you lose a bait to a pike, it just seems like there's 10 of them just sitting there waiting, just like,
yeah.
Like, but then when you go over that area, there's nothing in there. And like, okay, the baits didn't float up. And like, I'm using floating baits usually that do that, like topwater frog stuff. Like the baits didn't float up, and there's not more than one pike in the city. Like, how did this happen? Like, it doesn't make. It's like the Bermuda Triangle of freshwater fishing is always by a pike.
Yeah, I've had days I wanted to throw a tantrum with them too. So,
there's been times. Well, like my best one too is when I was on that lake we filmed at. There was this elusive 40-something inch pike in this one area that's always there in the spring and fall. And I've never landed them. I know someone who landed a 51 inch out there in the ice in the same area. So I mean, he might be 51, but he's a big pike. And I've had so many times I'll cast at him, he'll take my bait, and I see him come up. Like he comes up and grabs it. He's came to the kayak and grabbed it right in the kayak before. And then I'll throw another cast and I'll catch. I'm like, oh, I got him. Comes up and it's like a 12-inch pike. I'm like, where was that guy at? Like, where did that guy come from? Like a lot of times this will happen where like even when I'm pan fishing, I'll be pan fishing, all of a sudden a bass just out of nowhere. And I'm like, where did that bass just come from? In that episode that I did with Robert Field, you guys will see in about 2 weeks or 3 weeks on TV, I caught like a 21-inch smallmouth. And I caught him on like a 30th of an ounce panfish jig that I'm catching panfish left and right on. And this bass just out of nowhere, the smallmouth just came and annihilated it. And I'm using like a light 6'6" medium light rod. Like the rod bent in half. Like it was crazy. I was like, fun. And that's what happens with pike all the time. I'll see this big, massive pike that I'm trying to get, and then this little teeny one comes out of nowhere. I'm like, no, I don't want you. Like, what are you doing? Like, and you don't even see them coming either. It's like these things are just pike are one of the most aggressive fish in Michigan, as far as I know. Bowfin aren't really up here. I mean, there's some bowfin up here, I guess, but there's just really rare. They're not really prevalent up here. And when they are up here, when I do find them, those are the most aggressive fish. But other than that, pike are just like. They're like, I call them water missiles because they come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And you'll be jigging at a bass's face sometimes, and all of a sudden a pike just flies out of nowhere and grabs your bait. You're like, where was he at? Like, how did you not see him this whole time? So like pike are just as one of the toughest species, in my opinion, to actually land in freshwater, because they try everything in the world to break your line off.
Yeah, they can get a little nutty.
Totally agree. We got a couple of comments here. Cool stories. Aaron Steiger, I caught a bass a week later at a local pond that had my 6-inch watermelon Senko in its mouth. I pulled it out of its throat. Crazy stuff.
Wow.
Richie Lockery said at the Table Rock event this year, Marty Hughes, Big Smalley, had Nate Gloria's bait in its mouth. Nate had broke off 15 minutes prior to Marty catching it. And then Duke in the house said the home area for a pike can be an area as big as 40,000 acres for a large body of water.
What?
I think Duke's drinking hams, bro. That's
a lot.
Are you
sure, Duke? That's a lot. I don't know any lakes that big.
I believe it though. Duke's a big musky guy, man. Duke's
how many acres is Lake Michigan even? We
just
call it huge.
The big pond. Yeah.
Yeah, but 40,000 acres, you said?
Is that in like volume? Not in actual coverage?
Yeah, I'm just curious how that man. I feel like it was like 40 feet. Like I feel like pike patrol like a pretty tight area usually.
Yeah, I mean I'm no pike, so I don't know. I just know they taste good.
I mean, I believe him because I don't know any better. So that's what Duke says. He probably knows more than I do about it. So that's crazy.
Just a quick Google search. Lake Michigan is 22,300 square miles. So I don't know how big an acre is. I think
isn't 3 acres a mile?
I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say like an acre is like 1,000 something feet or something square.
Yeah. I don't know. Math hurts. I can't really do that.
Math hurts. Like we're supposed to be talking about fish. What's with the freaking numbers?
Yeah. Well, we're winding down, man. We're right about an hour. Mike, why don't you tell everybody where they can follow you, where they can watch your show, follow you on social media, all that good stuff, brother.
So you can find it's all under Bassquatch Hunter TV. You can find it on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and then on Pursuit Up, which is a free app anyone can download on their phone or the smart TV. It comes on like Samsung Smart TV automatically. If you have Hulu or Roku, whatever, you can get it on there. I'm on there every week. They're uploading new episodes right now, so I think there's only 2 or 3 on there right now. But every week they're uploading new ones. And then on the Pursuit channel, if you have the Pursuit channel on your cable or satellite, we air every Monday at 1:30 p.m., every Wednesday at 6 a.m., Friday at 4:30 p.m., and Saturday at 6:30 p.m., all Eastern Standard Time. A new episode airs every other week right now because we're doing reruns every other week. And then I think is that it? Yeah, I think that's it.
Sure?
That's it? I mean, geez.
You too.
Add anything new to that,
I'm trying to
go on Tinder.
Yeah, you could find me and Jay have a joint account on Grindr. So.
Well, that's our show.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. I love it.
Me and Jay's faces we use like a face swap app, so it's like our faces together. So.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah. Jay's like, I hate you.
I don't even know who this dude is anymore.
Yeah. Oh, that's great.
Teach you to invite me on your podcast.
Holy crap. Like, it's time to go.
So you know what though? You've swore twice on this podcast. I've never swore on social media or anything my entire life. So that was my reach right there.
There you go. There you go.
But yeah, so
Making jabs at Jay.
I will say this though, my TikTok account is the first time on social media or on a social media platform where I don't just do fishing stuff. So I try to have a little more fun on TikTok. I do a lot of pranks and I have a couple of videos of me scaring the crap out of my girlfriend with an air horn.
That's awesome.
And do those videos cry. I don't even care if they get views. They make me laugh really hard. So I have a video on there right now that with my buddy that we did a prank or like a skit where we ran over a TV that I just bought, but it was an empty box, and that one went viral. It's got over 200,000 views now, actually, in like 45 days. Nice. So there's a kayak video on there that I did that's got 80,000 views. I mean, TikTok's a lot of fun because I get to do kind of whatever I want. It doesn't have to be fishing only. Nice. Where on like Instagram and YouTube and stuff, it's got to be more kind of like my show related.
Sure.
But yeah, either way, you guys can all check me out there. And then I do my weekly podcast every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Sorry. Every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I'm on episode 134 right now. I had to cancel yesterday because I was out filming, but I'm on there every week too, usually on Wednesdays.
I don't know, Jay. Might have to get on that podcast someday.
Yeah, you know what? Actually, you guys, let's talk after this. Seriously though,
yeah. All right.
If you guys, so I don't do really fancy video call-ins like this. I do audio only call-ins.
Yeah.
But if you guys want to do a group call-in, then we'll talk after this. It'll be a lot of fun to have you guys on there.
Yeah,
I've had Jay's been on it before.
Yeah. He was talking about the Pike episode, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Maybe you make it on Grinder, Brian.
Yeah.
And second thought, I think I might pass.
Jay's
let me know how it goes.
I think Jay's a little salty about that one. He's like, I don't know, maybe he'll invite you on Grinder. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah. I just didn't know that was gonna be public knowledge.
That's how we met. We drove by each other and both of our phones went ding ding. And we're like, whoa, wait, what?
Jesus Christ. We drove by each other.
I love it.
Yeah, okay.
Actually, me and Jay
5 hours from each other.
Me and Jay met on a Friday. It was a cold and windy Friday, and it was that fateful night at the boat show where we were both working the same booth, and our eyes just kind of locked from across the booth, and we didn't know what to say to each other at first. We had that weird moment.
Isn't the show over with?
And Jay batted his eyelashes at me. It was weird little like a doughy look in his eyes, and I was just like, man, who's that guy? And he's kind of looking at me kind of funny. And then I saw him stare at my banner for a while. And I was just and he looked like he was deep in thought staring at my banner. And I saw him touch it a little bit. So I went over to him, really delicately asked him what his name was. And ever since then, we exchanged numbers and,
I love Mike McKinstry. I love Mike McKinstry.
I like watching Jay's face match a color of his hat.
It's like,
oh, that's too good.
My girlfriend's gonna text me in a little bit. She's like, so
yeah.
You got something to tell me?
Yeah, I know. It's like, and he wouldn't even stop calling me. That's the thing. I was like, what the hell do you want?
Well, I had to start calling you because I'd get these random calls in the middle of the night, which is someone breathing really heavy and no one said anything. And I was just like, all right, I'll just let it go. I answered every time just in case. And I was like, all right, whatever. And then after a while, Jay stayed the night one time. And after a while, the phone call stopped one night when Jay was over. And I was like, wait a minute, this kind of makes sense now. Maybe if the phone calls aren't happening when he's here. And that was I meant to ask you about this, Jay. That night you stayed the night at my house last, I got up in the middle of the night and you weren't at the couch anymore. And I was like, all right, whatever. Maybe he was in the bathroom or something. I went back to my room and you were just hovering over my bed, just breathing really heavy. I didn't know maybe you lost your inhaler or something. I don't know what happened. You're just
wait, without you there.
Yeah. I think you were waiting. I don't know. It was just weird, but I was like, I won't say anything. But I figured now was a good time to ask you about it. I didn't know if and I'm I'm missing a pair of my boxers too. I don't know if you had those or I'm just
oh man! That's too much.
I think that's
the most.
This is the last time we'll let Mike on, everybody.
I was gonna say next time you invite me on your podcast, you might want to be you know what? Last time we did this, I got a bunch of. You might get some good messages from people though, people that you didn't meet before.
I am deleting your ass right now.
You're doing what to my ass right now? What was that?
Oh, and there we go, everybody. Yeah.
So this is what happens when you do a podcast at 10 o'clock at night, my time too.
Oh,
This is
that's
just
funny.
water for the record. So
That's funny. Well, with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed the show. Got a few laughs out of Mike. And Mike, thanks as always. Appreciate what you do, man, and paying it forward and taking care of Jay and his grinder account. Much appreciated. And
anytime. That's the biggest charity thing I do right there is that wonderful man right there.
Well, go check out Bassquatch Hunter TV, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Till next time, guys and gals.
Thanks again, guys, and thanks everyone that's watching too. And I appreciate all the support and everything like that too. And you know, we're all good friends in this industry. Most of us are, at least. And
absolutely,
I guarantee it's like everyone knows this. When you meet up with your fishing buddies, it's all the same kind of humor.
Yep.
Just razzing each other is kind of like 90% of the sport, for real.
Absolutely.
We barely ever talk fishing. It's always like 5 minutes of fishing talk and then just making fun of each other and trying to embarrass each other. That's pretty much it.
Love it. Well, Jay's a little rosy red, so you did a good job. Till next time, guys and gals, tight lines, smooth paddling. Peace.